Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Cadet Sara Roger with the class of 2013 from Company C3. I am a military history and Arabic major, and last year, this semester, I spent the semester abroad in Amman, Jordan.
Jordan is one of the most critical allies that we have in this area, and Sarah has some experience with the military there. And so we'll get a new perspective on some of the benefits of that experience.
Jordan is the melting pot of the Middle East. I came across so many different cultures and people from various backgrounds, and when they came at different time regions, it really reminds you just how all the regional conflicts affect Jordanians in general, to a point where it's not only the West Bank and Gaza Strip where, Palestinians suffer, but now Jordan is 60% Palestinian. Their people are no longer a majority in their own country. So it's something interesting that you realize as you come into contact and you speak with the local population on a day-to-day basis. I also went to Israel, and there for the week you see how the conflict has affected them. So it's not one right, one wrong answer. While I was in Jordan, I went to a farm in the north of Jordan in a town of Irbid, and there we went around, some classmates and myself, and we noticed, there wasn't a lot of equipment out, there weren't any crops growing, and this is towards the fall. And we said, what's going on? Why are there no plants? Why are there no vegetables? And he said, well, I don't have the water. I don't know when I will get water next. And so the Golan Heights, just north of there, is also another point of contention that people don't know what to deal with, how to deal with it. And although we see it in a large scale, country versus country, I got to see it, how it affects one person and his family and his life, and he might not be able to have a farm. And so going back and forth between various villages and interacting with different families, you see how this conflict goes just beyond the headlines that we so often see. It goes beyond the West Bank and Gaza Strip, and they all have to go somewhere. So they go into Jordan, and you really see how Jordan deals with that. And being a United States citizen, much less a servicewoman, I got to see how it put me in that situation, because we are very closely allied with Israel, but we also have to keep in mind that as close as we are with them, we still need to maintain relations with the Middle East somehow, with the Arab countries. And as Major Post said, that's where Jordan comes in, as one of our closest allies. We send soldiers there often to help train them. They send soldiers here to America to go through training. And while I was there, as you can see in the picture, I had the opportunity to spend about a week with the Jordanian army and to really see what they do and how our training helps them and affects them. I tagged along with some American servicemen and women who were also there in Jordan, and they were just touring what the Jordanian army does. I knew some of the language. And so I actually got to speak with the members of the Jordanian army and see, what do they do? How do they do it? What is their life like because of the army? And one thing that I found out through the language, their commitment, how they view it and their concept of it. And it's completely different because of the language, which is fascinating. So you have this word wajib. And the word wajib, for me, in the first half of my time in Jordan, meant homework. So needless to say, I would go to school and they'd be like, where's your wajib? And I would hand it over. Then I learned that it was a social etiquette mannerism. So when you go to someone's house, they return the wajib and they come back to your house with coffee or with treats, just a pleasantry. For the Jordanian military, wajib is a deployment or a tour. And all of these women who I'm pictured with had actually spent a tour in Afghanistan. They joined forces. Females make up 6% of the Jordanian army. I actually had an interesting discussion with the women there, and they couldn't understand why you are not allowed in the special forces. If they can do it, certainly I could. And so it's interesting to have this conversation and to tell them, what my army is about, how we operate, what our operations entail, and how that goes down into our commitment as American servicemen and women. And so all in all, my time in Jordan was really, it made me more committed, not only to the reason why I joined the Army and why I'm at West Point, but to being an American in general. It's truly fascinating. It made me grateful for a lot of the things we have here, but I'm even more grateful that I can look beyond what the headlines say. On a day-to-day basis, when we hear about tensions with Israel and Iran rising or between various Arab countries, I can now think, all right, well, how does this affect the lowest levels? And that's something that I think that I will have to do as a platoon leader or as a company commander or even higher if I choose to go there.
The value that someone like Sarah would bring to a battlefield, regardless of branch, is enormous with a critical ally such as Jordan.